Hi, everyone. This is Steve Dellasan. Welcome to this week's edition of CEOs You Should Know. I'm thrilled to be joined by Kyle Markland, the Chief Executive Officer of Municipal Credit Union. Thanks for being here today, Kyle.
Great. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here and share more about not only myself, but more importantly, Municipal Credit Union and what we're doing in our exciting future.
Well, we're excited to jump into it. So why don't we kick things off and take it back to the beginning? I know you started off your career as an accountant in Florida Credit Union, and you worked your way up all the way to CEO and various roles across the country. How did those early experiences really shape the leadership approach you have today?
Yeah, even though I started as probably you would think one of the most boring jobs, an accountant, it's a very reactive job. It really gave me a great foundation to understand how not only businesses work, but how all the pieces of the puzzle came together. And I should probably tell you a little bit more about Municipal, too. We are the largest and oldest credit union in New York. We're the 20th largest in the country, and there's 4,400 credit unions.
Wow.
So we believe we're a driving force, not only for our members, but also for the credit union industry. But going back to when I was an accountant, I started when I was 17. And I had this great opportunity to learn a lot more about credit unions in the industry. And the credit union I worked at, they were open Monday nights. So my department wasn't. So I took that opportunity to go work in every single department so I could really learn and understand more about how the business worked. And what it really allowed me to do was when I went to college, I thought I was going to be an attorney. I wanted to make a meaningful impact on the world and change the world. But I thought if I did that, I could only maybe impact 1,000 people. If I was lucky, 10,000 people.
Sure.
But in the credit union industry, it really became a calling and a passion for me. And through my career, I can honestly say I've probably positively impacted millions of people.
That's awesome. That must be a really great feeling.
It is a great feeling.
I know that throughout the years, you held leadership roles in strategy, marketing, lending, operations. How has that breadth of influence really influenced the way that you lead the complex institution of MCU?
Yeah, and I was talking about accounting being reactive. I wanted to get on the other side. I
Sure.
wanted to become more proactive. And so when I went into marketing, it allowed me to understand like growth and how to grow things. And I was able to see from an idea to execution, but most importantly to results. And so at MCU, I'm able to take a very broad, holistic approach because I literally have had just about every single job you could have or I've done every job you could do in a credit union. And I think working from the bottom up gave me a very unique perspective.
That's awesome. It's great to have all those different experiences within all the departments because I'm sure in your leadership role now you could appreciate the work that each of those departments are doing.
Exactly.
I know that you were initially drawn to MCU in 2020, especially during a turbulent time. What was that really drew you in at that moment?
I've been in this industry for 45 years, and it's hard to say that out loud sometimes. But my whole career, whether it was around transformation or turnaround or working in every area, for me, I was looking for my next opportunity, as I like to say, to be my biggest and best chapter of my career. And at MCU, whether it was fate or serendipity, everything came together because they were looking for a new CEO to transform and build the organization. And I had the experience. And once I got to really understand the organization during the interview process, who doesn't want to serve those who serve the greatest city in the world? And who doesn't want to come to New York and take your skills in the best city? And, the song, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. It's not just Broadway. It's the financial capital of the world. So all that just made it to where it was a very easy decision. My wife and I have loved New York, and we love New York City. So we got everything we ever wanted.
That's awesome. Glad to hear. Congrats.
Thank you.
And speaking of that transformation, under your leadership, MCU has seen remarkable growth as well as a cultural transformation in the organization. What key steps did you take to build both that values-driven but also that high-performance organization?
Yeah, it started with our vision and our mission that we really want to help hardworking New Yorkers have a better financial tomorrow. And so when you start with that and then you underlay that with values that are intrinsic to you and what you believe in, that started the whole transformation. And then we said, let's be deliberate about creating a culture where employees want to work hard and they're passionate about what you believe in. And when what you believe in is helping hardworking New Yorkers, it's not hard to get passionate about that
Yeah.
because they are the first responders. They're the ones who keep the city alive and going. So it was starting with the vision, mission, focus, and priorities just on our members. And then it really became around once we hired leaders, we were hiring passionate employees. But then from there, we expanded our charter, which charter means that before we were exclusive to municipal employees,
Sure.
but now anybody who lives, works, worships, or goes to school in the 5 boroughs are eligible. So we think we can take the good work we're doing and take it to all New Yorkers. So how are we doing? Well, from a cultural standpoint, we have won Great Places to Work. We now have won the Best and Brightest 2 years in a row. And a number of our leaders all up and down the organization have been recognized by industry publications, industry trade associations, as well as being recognized locally. And it's all coming together for the growth of the organization. When I got here, we had just under 400 employees. We're almost at 700 on our way to
Wow.
800. We had 3.8 billion in assets. We're now just under 4.8 billion, excuse me. And we're adding 40,000 new members a year. So we're just under 630,000. So we're a growing, vibrant organization that focuses on producing results.
That's amazing. Well, congrats on all the growth and the recognitions you talked about earlier. And speaking of recognitions, I know you personally have been recognized for ethical leadership, including the Minnesota Business Ethic Awards twice. How do you ensure that that integrity piece always stays core as you're continuing to innovate and as you're continuing to grow the organization?
To me, I don't know anything else but integrity. It started my grandparents to my parents to me. You always led with your ethics and your integrity. So when I got into business, I thought, why can't you be the same person you are at home as you are at work? And so my value system is so aligned to not only MCU, but who I am as a person. When I come home, I don't need to be somebody different.
Yeah.
I'm the same person whether you see me at the store or at home or at work. And so for me, ethics is always about doing what's right. And as a leader, everybody watches everything that you do, and your actions mean more than your words. And so I want to make sure that all of our leaders' actions are around upholding and displaying the highest level of integrity. It's the decisions we make to ensure that they're always in the best interest of our members and to ensure that as leaders, we're setting the organization up first for success by doing what's right.
That's great advice for any leader that's tuning in. Can you talk a little bit about the We're Here For It campaign? How did that idea evolve, and what role does storytelling really play in connecting all those different dots within the financial services space?
Yeah, so excited about the We're Here For It campaign because it's more than a campaign. It really is who we are. And it started with because we only have about 4% market share, we don't want to continue to be the best kept secret in New York City. So we really wanted people to know us. And we are a local financial institution. We're 100% local. We're 100% New York. I now consider myself a New Yorker. I've been here, almost 12 years.
You made it.
Yes, I've made it. But to me, it was about displaying who we are as an organization. The images, the iconography, the voices, the sounds was all New York. It was the Cavallis brothers who did the art for us. But it was really to show the grittiness of New Yorkers, and there's an edgy funness to New York too. And we know it's the toughest city to survive in, whether it's about buying a home or just making it payroll to payroll. And so we wanted New Yorkers to know that there is an alternative that is a New York institution that is really set up to help them succeed. And so for us, storytelling is telling our story, but bringing our members and our employees' stories to life as
Love
well
that.
about the difference we're able to make.
That's awesome. And speaking of expanding the membership and expanding the field of membership, I know that was a bold move. What's your long-term vision for that and within the institution, especially for New Yorkers, which you just talked about?
I'm so excited and inspired by our future. I believe that what we want to do is create stronger and deeper relationships with our members. And when you have a mission about helping hard workers have a better financial tomorrow, to me, that's going to drive everything that we do. And we're meeting our heroes where they are. If you think about our members, a lot of them are first responders. They don't work normal hours.
Yeah.
They don't have the luxury of saying, well, while I'm at work, I'm going to make a phone call or I'm going to get online. So we have to come up with solutions that can help them and meet them where they are. Whether it's new technology, we want to use AI in an ethical way to help and understand our members better. And then we're also adding physical outlets. We're adding 3 new branches this year: Chelsea, Far Rockaway, and we recently opened one in Yonkers as well.
Awesome. And speaking of doing good for your members and beyond, I know you launched the MCU Foundation in 2023 with a real strong focus on generational wealth. What inspired that initiative, and how do you plan to continue to measure the impact of it?
Hey, we're really excited about our foundation because when we started it to where we are today, the need is greater today than it has ever been. And what inspired it was, as the credit union, we were able to really focus on helping our members and our employees.
Sure.
But the foundation has allowed us to help that third major stakeholder, and that's our communities. So it allows us to partner more with community organizations, other nonprofits, to bring the values that we have into their communities. And we're doing it through basic necessities. It is really hard to sometimes just to afford groceries. One of the fun initiatives we did was during COVID and during the high inflation times, if you use an MCU debit card, we would refund the cost of milk back to your account. We are now helping take away the barriers for a lot of municipal employees, and that is taking the civil servants exam. If you're an MCU member, we'll reimburse you the cost of taking the civil servant exam so that you can better your career. And we're really helping with home ownership because that is where you create generational wealth. We have story after story of multi-generational New Yorkers who have never had the opportunity to own their own home. And when you hear of somebody in their 50s, their family's buying their first ever home, it just incents you and motivates you that you got to do more.
That's awesome. And speaking of doing more, I know that you envision credit unions playing a larger role in solving some of the challenges like affordable housing and financial literacy. How do you really feel that they're going to play that part?
As a community-based financial cooperative, it's in our DNA. That's really what we should be doing. And for MCU, we're very member-centric. And I think we need to help and know our members' needs, the gaps that they have,
Sure.
and we can fill it with financial products and services at great rates. But more importantly, we can do it through financial education and wellness. I also sit on the board of the National Credit Union Foundation, and we're trying to address it globally of how can credit unions play a part in uplifting communities by helping each person in the community understand more about finances, and so that they can make good choices, over a long period of time.
That's great to hear. We touched on this a little bit earlier. I know you took over the role in 2020 when there was an immense amount of uncertainty.
Yes.
I'm sure it was a year of challenges. What were some of those toughest challenges and decisions you made, and what were you able to learn from them?
Yeah, it was no doubt those were probably the most trying times, especially in New York.
Absolutely.
New York City, where our first responders were all considered essential. So all of our members were considered essential, and our employees were too. So really the tough decision was around, it wasn't can we serve our members? It was really around how are we going to serve them? as I said earlier, they don't have traditional schedules. So we had to figure out the best way that we could balance providing them a need, their services, along with safety for them,
Mhm.
safety for our employees. We also came out with a program during that time to help anybody who had been laid off to bridge the gap until they could get back to work and start paying their bills.
That's great. I know that financial institution right now are facing from consumers very high expectations, especially when it comes to trust and transparency, which is, of
Mhm.
course, on top of every consumer's mind. What advice would you give to any emerging leaders out there that really want to build trust within their environment?
the- you have to always start with trust, and all your actions have to be around building trust. And for a financial institution, to me, it's paramount because we are dealing with, in our case, a member, but with a consumer's most personal and prized asset. Their finances, whether it's their hard-earned savings, or they're trying to buy a house or a car. So all of our actions have got to be around what are we doing to help them get ahead, and um, it's sometimes it's not easy to do what's right,
Yeah.
but as Martin Luther King said, the time the time is always right to do what's right. And so if you're doing what's right, you're always going to be building trust and building integrity. And as I said, for somebody with financial institution, you don't get a second chance.
Mhm. You've given us a lot of great advice throughout this interview today, but if you were to look back and give yourself advice all those years ago when you were first starting off in the industry, what would it be?
Uh, that's a great question, and I had so many, so I put it together in just be curious in everything, and everything's an opportunity, and don't stop learning. Much like our first responders who run towards something, most people would stop, they would run to it. Anytime in my career that I saw an opportunity when others didn't know what to do, I ran to it. I may not have known how to do it, I may not know anything about it, but I knew that I could figure it out. And so my advice to them is everything's an opportunity. Um, Even when you don't think it is, somewhere it will be an opportunity for
Great
you.
advice. MCU's been having a lot of growth, a lot of expansions. So what's next? Is there any new exciting developments or expansions on the horizon you could share today?
Yeah, we're very excited about our future, and as I said earlier, we're expanding our branches. We're adding new technology, new digital services for our members. Also, what I want to do, the culture in the organization we're building is we want to be the most loved financial institution. Which love is not something you throw out there, and it's a high aspiration. So our charter expansion was around taking that opportunity for people to know us and to love us more. So you're going to see us growing. You're going to see us expanding. I had mentioned about the number of employees. We're going to add well over another 100 employees this year because I believe that growth is going to be what sets us up apart. And we're here for it campaign is, as I said, more than a campaign. We're here for it. We're committed. I know our board's committed, and all of our employees are.
That's awesome. Well, I'm excited to see you guys continue to grow and continue to expand too. We covered a lot about MCU, but if there's one thing you want our listeners to take away about the mission of the company, what would that be?
That there is a financial institution out there, a beacon of hope that cares about the success of you, your community, and your family. And MCU is that financial institution, and we are more than committed in words, but our actions are showing that if you're looking for a mission-based financial institution, we're the one.
That's great. Well, if anyone is tuning in that wants to learn more about MCU, what should they do?
Well, if you want a financial institution that's going to care about you, go to nymcu.org and join. If you want to work in an organization where your talent is utilized and it aligns with your values, go to the same website and apply for a job. We're at all the social and go look for us. We're there.
Awesome. Well, Kyle, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for sharing information on your impressive background, all the advice you gave, and most importantly, telling all of our listeners more about MCU and the important mission that you're doing right now.
Thank you. This has really been fun and exciting, and I'm honored to be here on behalf of our employees.
Thank you very much. Thanks again, Kyle. And thank you all for tuning into this week's edition of CEOs You Should Know. Tune in next week.